Walliams steps down after being caught on mic making derogatory comments about contestants during a break in filming. In one instance, he called an elderly performer the C word 3 times.
For a whole decade, David Walliams wasn't just a judge on Britain's Got Talent. He was the life of the show. With his quick wit, infectious energy, and that hilarious back and forth with Simon Cowell, he became a fan favorite. But in 2022, his time on the show came to a sudden and dramatic end. A leaked recording exposed some inappropriate comments he had made about contestants, and with the backlash growing, ITV and the BGT team had no choice but to take action. His exit left plenty of fans disappointed, but how did it all come to this? From his rise to fame and golden years to the controversy that changed everything, plus what's next for him, there's a lot to unpack. Born in London in 1971 as David Edward Williams, he grew up in a comfortable middle-class household. His father worked as an engineer, while his mother was a dedicated lab technician, ensuring that David and his sister had a stable upbringing. Even as a child, David had a knack for making people laugh. Whether it was imitating teachers, pulling off perfectly timed jokes, or simply using his natural charm to entertain friends and family, it was clear early on that he had an undeniable talent for performance. But turning that childhood passion into a successful career was far from easy. As he grew older, his fascination with comedy and acting deepened, leading him to study at the University of Bristol. It was here that he began taking his ambitions more seriously. While many of his peers were focusing on traditional career paths, David took a leap of faith, throwing himself into the world of performance. It was a bold move, but one that would ultimately change the trajectory of his life. He found himself drawn to Footlights, Cambridge University's legendary comedy group, despite not being a student there. This was the very same institution that had produced comedic icons like John Cleese, Stephen Fry, and Hugh Laurie. Determined to follow in their footsteps, David honed his writing and performing skills, learning the art of sketch comedy, satire, and improvisation. It was at Footlights that he met Matt Lucas, a fellow aspiring comedian with a similarly offbeat sense of humor. The two hit it off instantly, sharing ideas, writing sketches, and performing at small venues. Their chemistry was undeniable, and they quickly realized they had something special. Their early gigs were humble, small audiences, modest venues, and plenty of nights where their jokes didn't quite land. But they never let setbacks deter them. They kept experimenting, refining their act, and pushing the boundaries of their creativity. Their persistence eventually paid off, and in the early 2000s, they made the leap to radio, developing new characters and testing their comedic range. The transition from stage to audio was a crucial stepping stone, allowing them to fine-tune their storytelling and comedic timing without the pressure of a live audience staring them down. Their efforts culminated in 2003 when they landed their biggest break yet, Little Britain. The show was nothing short of a phenomenon. A brilliantly absurd and often outrageous sketch comedy series, Little Britain poked fun at British society with a bizarre and unforgettable cast of characters. David didn't just play one role. He fully transformed into an entire lineup of personalities, from snobbish aristocrats to clueless everyday citizens, each bringing their own quirks and catchphrases. The show struck a chord with audiences, quickly becoming a cultural touchstone. Its success wasn't limited to the UK. It gained a loyal following overseas, making David and Matt Lucas international comedy stars. However, with fame came controversy. While many hailed the show's satirical genius, others criticized certain portrayals as offensive. Regardless of the debates, Little Britain cemented David's status as one of Britain's top comedic talents. Yet comedy was only one side of David's talent. In 2008, he made an unexpected but brilliant pivot into children's literature with The Boy in the Dress, a heartwarming and humorous tale about self-acceptance. It was a surprising move for someone known for outrageous sketch comedy, but the book resonated deeply with readers, proving that David's gift for storytelling extended far beyond comedy. Encouraged by its success, he continued writing, producing a steady stream of bestsellers like Gangsta Granny, Mr. Stink, and Billionaire Boy. His books weren't just popular, They were cultural phenomena, earning him comparisons to Roald Dahl and leading to film and stage adaptations that introduced his stories to an even wider audience. Despite his thriving career as an author, David never fully stepped away from television. He explored acting, took on voice roles, and made guest appearances on various shows. But in 2012, he found himself back in the mainstream spotlight when he joined Britain's Got Talent as a judge. His arrival completely changed the dynamic of the show. While Simon Cowell and the other judges maintained a professional, sometimes harsh approach, David became the unpredictable wild card, injecting humor and chaos into the panel. He pulled pranks, cracked jokes, and wasn't afraid to playfully mock Simon, much to the delight of viewers. His over-the-top antics made him a fan favorite, creating one of the most entertaining judge duos the show had ever seen. But despite years of success, David's Britain's Got Talent journey came to an unexpected and controversial end. His departure left fans wondering what the future held for him. Would he make a triumphant return to television? Or had he already begun writing a new chapter in his career? One thing was clear. David Walliams had built a career on adaptability. He had transformed himself from an aspiring comedian performing in small clubs to a television star, an internationally best-selling author, and a beloved entertainer. His path had been filled with challenges, from struggling to break into the industry to facing public scrutiny. But he had always found a way to reinvent himself. Whether through comedy, literature, or entertainment, David had a rare ability to connect with audiences across different platforms. While his days as a talent show judge may be behind him, his creative spirit remains as strong as ever. Whether he chooses to return to television or focus entirely on his writing, one thing is certain: David Walliams is far from finished. David wasn't just about judging talent, he judged with heart. Even when an act wasn't the most impressive, he found a way to lift people up, offering encouragement and praise. This, of course, sometimes drove Simon up the wall, but it also balanced out the show's dynamic, keeping things entertaining while making contestants feel valued. Their chemistry was pure gold. While Simon played the role of the stone-faced critic, David never missed an opportunity to poke fun at him. One of the most legendary moments? That time David planted an unexpected kiss on Simon right in the middle of a live show, sending the studio into fits of laughter. He even took things further, publicly declaring Simon the love of my life just to mess with him. No matter how much he trolled Simon, he always knew where to draw the line, making sure the focus remained on the contestants while keeping the energy high. Over his decade-long run on the show, David created endless, unforgettable moments. One of the most touching ones came when a young contestant, Malachi, froze on stage, overcome with nerves. Without a second thought, David stepped down, reassured him, and gave him the confidence to keep going. That small but powerful act cemented his place as one of the most beloved judges in BGT history. But beyond the heartwarming gestures, David was also known for his rebellious streak. He wasn't afraid to bend the rules, sometimes clashing with the other judges. One time, after a contestant was unanimously eliminated with a wall of red buzzers, David, against all odds, insisted on giving them a second chance. The moment led to a full-blown on-stage debate, but it also reminded the audience that BGT wasn't just about competition, it was about dreams. Another time, he drove Simon absolutely mad by pretending to be in love with a completely talentless act. The second Simon hit the buzzer to eliminate them, David slammed the golden buzzer in protest, a move usually reserved for the best of the best. The whole thing was obviously a joke, but Simon's reaction, pure frustration, had the audience in stitches. The mischief didn't stop when the cameras were rolling. If anything, David was even more of a prankster behind the scenes. He had a habit of sneaking changes into Simon's script, slipping in completely absurd lines just to watch his co-judge squirm as he unknowingly read them aloud on air. Simon's reactions were a mix of irritation and reluctant amusement, giving the audience plenty of hilarious moments to enjoy. Even when Simon tried to maintain his usual serious demeanor, David had a way of cracking through that tough exterior. bringing a chaotic energy to Britain's Got Talent that no one else could replicate. His humor was unpredictable, playful, and sometimes downright ridiculous. But that's exactly why so many people loved him. But as much as he brought laughter to the show, David's career took an unexpected and dramatic turn when controversy struck. A leaked recording of inappropriate backstage comments caused a media storm, dividing fans and critics alike. Some believed that he had simply made a mistake, one that shouldn't overshadow the years of entertainment he had provided. They argued that he had always been an entertainer first, someone whose humor often pushed boundaries, but was ultimately meant in good fun. Others, however, felt that his words had crossed a line and that someone in his position needed to take full accountability. The fallout was swift. Just weeks after the scandal broke, David announced that he would be stepping down from Britain's Got Talent. However, the circumstances surrounding his exit raised questions. While he framed it as a personal decision, industry insiders suggested otherwise. ITV never explicitly stated that he had been fired, but behind the scenes, it was widely reported that keeping him on as a judge was no longer an option. Meetings were held, discussions were had, and ultimately, it seemed clear that David's time on the show had come to an abrupt end. His fellow judges, Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, and Alicia Dixon, remained noticeably silent throughout the ordeal. None of them made public statements addressing the situation, but sources claimed that they were deeply shocked when the recording surfaced. Simon, in particular, was said to have had a private conversation with David before the final decision was made. Their dynamic had been one of the show's biggest highlights, and while they often teased each other on screen, there was an undeniable friendship between them. But in the end, even that wasn't enough to change the outcome. David's departure left a noticeable gap, and when Bruno Tonioli, a former Strictly Come Dancing judge, was brought in as his replacement, reactions were mixed. While Bruno had experience in entertainment, many fans felt that he lacked the unique comedic spark that David had brought to the show. Some argued that Britain's Got Talent had lost part of its heart, claiming that the playful energy David infused into the judging panel was irreplaceable. Social media buzzed with debates over whether the show would ever be the same without him. Meanwhile, public opinion on David himself remained fiercely divided. His supporters continued to rally behind him, insisting that a few private comments shouldn't erase a decade of contributions to entertainment. Social media was filled with messages defending him, with fans highlighting the countless joyful moments he had given audiences. They pointed out that he had entertained millions, written heartwarming children's books, and helped discover new talent. Was all of that supposed to be forgotten over one controversy? On the other side of the debate, his critics stood firm. In an age where public figures were increasingly held accountable for their words and actions, they argued that David's departure was inevitable. To them, it wasn't about cancel culture, it was about consequences. They believed that someone in his position needed to uphold certain standards, especially on a major television show watched by families and children. As the debates raged on, David himself chose to remain silent. He didn't issue a lengthy defense, nor did he attempt to explain himself in interviews. Instead, he quietly faded from the television spotlight, marking a stark contrast to his once dominant presence on screens across the UK. For years, David had been a fixture on British television, his larger-than-life personality making him a household name. But following the scandal, he seemingly disappeared. There were no more witty exchanges with Simon, no more playful antics on the BGT stage. The man who had once been a constant source of entertainment was suddenly nowhere to be seen. However, that didn't mean he had stopped working. It simply meant he had shifted his focus elsewhere. Rather than attempting to stage an immediate television comeback, David turned his attention to an industry where he still had full creative control: books and animation. His career as a children's author had been thriving for years, and despite the controversy, his books remained hugely popular. Titles like Gangsta Granny, Mr. Stink, and The Boy in the Dress continued to fly off the shelves, proving that his influence in literature was still as strong as ever. Even in the wake of his departure from television, his storytelling captivated millions of young readers. But David wasn't content with just writing. He wanted to expand his stories beyond the pages of his books. In 2023, he made a strategic move into animation, bringing RoboDog to life as an animated film. Featuring well-known voice actors, the project allowed him to continue entertaining audiences while staying behind the scenes, away from the relentless media scrutiny. It was a smart pivot, one that ensured he could keep doing what he loved without constantly being in the public eye. Despite stepping away from television, David's legacy in entertainment remained undeniable. He had sold over 50 million books worldwide, with his stories translated into numerous languages and adored by children across the globe. Even with his television career on an uncertain path, his success in publishing showed no signs of slowing down. Beyond his professional life, David's personal world remained a subject of curiosity. Since his divorce from supermodel Lara Stone in 2015, he had largely kept his romantic life private. He had not remarried, nor had he publicly confirmed any new relationships, fueling speculation about his personal journey post-divorce. His relationship with Lara had once been the subject of fascination, with the couple meeting in 2009, quickly falling in love, and tying the knot in 2010. Their wedding was a high-profile event, drawing attention from fans and the media alike. From the outside, they seemed like the perfect match. She, a world-renowned model, and he, a beloved television star and comedian. But behind the glamour, their relationship faced challenges. While David longed for a stable, family-oriented life, Lara reportedly preferred her independence and fast-paced career. Over time, these differences became too great to ignore, and by 2015, their marriage had come to an amicable end. Though he had once been one of the UK's most recognizable television figures, David Walliams now seemed content with a quieter life. Whether he would ever make a grand return to TV remained uncertain. Some speculated that he might launch a new creative project, perhaps finding a fresh way to reconnect with audiences. Others believed he had moved on from the world of talent shows and reality television altogether. For now, his future remains unwritten. But if there's one thing David has always done well, it's finding new ways to reinvent himself. Whether through comedy, literature, or animation, he has continuously proven that he isn't afraid to explore new paths. And while his days as a Britain's Got Talent judge may be over, his impact on the entertainment world is far from forgotten. After the divorce, David shifted his focus to his career and his son Alfred. Though he rarely shared personal details, the few glimpses he offered on social media revolved around Alfred and their everyday activities. Fans would often see photos of David taking his son out, participating in outdoor adventures, or enjoying vacations together. No matter how packed his work schedule was, he always made time for Alfred. Becoming a single father seemed to have given him a new perspective on life, helping him find joy beyond both personal and professional setbacks. In 2023, rumors surfaced that David had joined Raya, an exclusive dating app for celebrities. Reports claimed that his profile featured photos of him with his two beloved dogs, Bert and Ernie. However, David never confirmed or denied these claims, keeping his personal life as private as ever. Though no longer the face of reality television, he continued to make occasional public appearances. He remained actively involved in charity events, particularly those supporting children. That same year, he attended the premiere of RoboDog, expressing his excitement about seeing his work adapted for the screen. When asked about Britain's Got Talent, he sidestepped the topic, choosing instead to focus on his new projects. For those hoping for a grand television comeback, disappointment might be inevitable. David appeared content with his life outside of reality TV, free from the pressures of the spotlight. The entertainment industry had seen many fallen stars successfully return after scandals, but such comebacks required time and the right approach. So far, David had shown no interest in staging a return. He had declined talk show invitations, refrained from interviews about the scandal, and had no known projects tied to reality television. Many believed he had made a conscious decision to leave that chapter of his career behind. Still, with someone like David, anything could change. If he reappeared in a compelling project that matched his signature humor and charisma, without reigniting past controversies, public perception could shift. He might still have a chance to return. For now, though, he appeared in no rush. He had built a solid career that didn't rely on television, something few entertainers could manage after such a major scandal. His books continued to sell, and film adaptations of his works remained in production. Though he no longer graced television screens with his signature comedic antics, David still had a loyal audience following his every move. More importantly, whether he returns to TV or not, he remains a distinctive name in British entertainment, a talented comedian, a successful author, and someone who has navigated both triumphs and setbacks while continuing to create. Despite the controversy, he never lost his sense of humor or his ability to connect with audiences. With millions of books sold and a lasting impact on the industry, David's career is far from over. Would you want to see him back on television?